Hi everyone, it is day 21. Wow, rolling along. So, I wanted to talk today about our thoughts, and that a lot of times it feels like our thoughts are thinking us. And this has a lot to do with our mindset and how we feel and our experience in the world. And I had someone ask a question about if I got any messages from spirit around what's going on in the world, how to navigate during these times, what's the big picture, and what their experience was when they would watch the news or engage with any of the media platforms and sometimes get upset or depressed and have to take a break from that. And I thought this was a great thing to talk about as I continue on from our story yesterday, because mindset is super important. And I'll just share with you my personal experience, because truly, literally, every day I wake up and I have to tune my mind immediately. And I've shared some of my morning practices to do that because it's 100% necessary in order for me to be in this world, because I pick up immediately the airwaves in the collective unconscious and what is the overall theme. And I'd say 90% of what we're being shown is the fear-based reality. And we're being shown this so we can really become powerful creators and select amongst it. But if we don't know that we are not our thoughts are thinking us, and that there is something beyond the thoughts, we tend to identify with those thoughts as who we are, and that's not true. Who you are is the one underneath those thoughts, the one watching, the one listening, and the one that can observe and start to choose your thoughts. This can be incredibly exhausting at first, and watching your thoughts, listening to them, recalibrating them, pivoting, I call it, where if a negative thought comes in, then you literally choose the opposite, or you turn it around and take the knots out. So most of the thoughts are, I don't want this and I don't want that, or I don't know, or I cannot. And all of that is feeding into the story of being disempowered or not having choice. And the news is very slanted. I'm sure most people have figured this out by now, that the news is not accurate or the only story. So I would say if you want to engage with the news, be informed, but don't be inundated, because it is directly connected to how you feel. So if you watch something that is dismal or tragic, you're going to have an emotional response. And our emotions are indicators of alignment. And I don't think most people really understand the power and potency of this guidance system we have and what it really means. So when we watch something and we feel bad, then that is an indicator of the vibration, the kind of energy that it is. And if we watch something and we feel good, is an indicator that it is a more positive interaction with our bodies. And I consider us as like gigantic antennas. We are transmitting and receiving information all the time. It's literally in the airwaves. And I really do feel like technology has been serving us in this way to understand the power of our ability to tune in like a radio station and pick up a certain signal, because all of those signals are existing simultaneously. So what would it be like to choose the kind of information and to take in the kind of fuel? What we take in is what we ingest, what we eat, not only with our food, but with our attention. So what is it like to really tune that, especially in the face of challenge, or when something really big comes up and it does feel like something is happening to you, something is happening to me. So I do feel like we are here to become masters. We're already masters, and we're remembering that we have this power to really choose the version of reality that we want to experience, not by necessarily focusing on manipulating or changing the outer world, but changing our experience. Because how we choose to see the world and interpret the world, that lens of perspective, will actually change the world we see. So we don't need to change the outer world. It is a holographic reality where our experience overlays and colors like a lens we're looking through. It colors the experience we're having. And most of the time, the focus is out there. And this whole idea of bringing it back to presence, bringing it back to self, first of all, getting to know yourself, not by what's happening in the outer world, but how you're experiencing it, how you're interpreting it, that we can change. And it is big, huge work. It's really, really hard in the face of those challenges, especially if you are experiencing depression or anxiety or some of those big emotions that tend to be deeply ingrained, and they have to be kind of unearthed and get to the core of it to release the pattern. But I promise you it is possible. And not only is it possible, it's what we're here for. So when I wake up every day, again, just talking about my experience, my mind immediately just starts chewing on all the problems, on what I have to do. It's like, that is my micromanager that wants to be on top of everything. And part of being in this world and part of being in a physical body and form is that we do have this incredible tool that is the mind, that knows how to track, that is basically programming in the subconscious what we've experienced. The past is coloring our present moment, and often it is predicting the future or trying to predict the future, embracing against an unwanted outcome to keep us safe. So I thank my thoughts. I say thank you for showing me where I'm at, where my energy is, and what do I really want? How do I want to focus? Because if I just allow that kind of heavy, negative, judging, critical mind to run the show, I'm not going to live a happy life. It's not going to lead to more joy, that is for sure. So mastering the basics is what I call it, because this is really the basics, but the basics are the building blocks or the foundation and the most important part of how we're going to live our lives and the quality of life. And so not only do these thoughts affect the emotions, that's a reaction that translates into the physical body. That will either be a contraction or a relaxation or an expansion, where it will dictate our health, it will dictate our vitality. I'll get into optimal aging and what I consider to be the vitality practices, and it really matters. And so I also have had a couple people message me talking about anxiety and PTSD and trauma, and I appreciate all this feedback, and I know there is a lot of pain and suffering going on out there. That's why I did that video yesterday on overcoming pain and injury. It is a big deal. This is, for me, those that choose to take the spiritual path are of the most courageous, and it usually comes from what, like I call, a lot of fuel and fodder, and that is the pain and suffering of the world. It becomes too much for those, especially that are hypersensitive, and that is really, for me, the only way in. The only way back home is with source, is with self, and I am amazed that anyone can live in this world without it, because it's quite overwhelming to believe the mind, to jump into the car with the thoughts, I call it, and let the thoughts drag you around and think that they're real and think that they're you. There is such an identification with the thoughts being the person, right? That's how we have developed personality. But who we are beyond the thoughts and who we are beyond the personality, we get back to our true essence. And it is a deep dive. It's an inner journey and an inner well that we can discover. And it is an incredible and beautiful experience. It's a miracle. It's a miracle that we even get to have this power of choice, and that we are in a free will zone. And to practice our free will is to unearth and uncover some of these programs and conditioning. I don't think anything is here to harm us or for bad. I feel like those unconscious programs are here to teach us to choose who we truly are, to learn from it, and to transform it. And that is my personal journey. Other people have other ways that they're interacting with the world, but I feel like I'm here as a shapeshifter and change agent and part of this birthing of the new paradigm. So I hope that helps. It's a lot, but to understand the thoughts and mindset, that we have the ability to interact with those thoughts, that it colors our reality, that we can practice the power of presence and begin to choose our thoughts and lead with a certain energy and vibration, and that our emotions are indicators of alignment. So I will share more on how to do this, on how I do this, and that there are shortcuts, because there are millions and millions of thoughts. We think like thousands of thoughts each day, and all of those thoughts are out there. So instead of tracking and chasing everyone down, I'll share with you my holographic body enhancements and my holographic experience. I call the hollow spheres, and some of my practices where we can kind of update the entire software system like we do when we update our phones, instead of going through and editing line by line the different thought programs that are in there. And that's actually really exciting. So I'll keep sharing more. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you tomorrow. Aloha, namaste. Bye for now.